Wow. You know why you couldn't hear anything? I didn't turn my mic on. I've been talking this whole time without my mic on. Can you hear me now? I think my microphone was off. That's wonderful. It's been a day. Let me just say it has been a day. Now I'm going to start all the way from the top. And I apologize for anyone who was on here and you couldn't hear anything. Oh my goodness. I didn't sleep last night very well. So I'm here though. Okay. So today's conversation is about it's all on me and yet I'm free. There. Okay. Now you can hear me. Thank you for sending me that chat message, Risha. Okay. It was just a mic. I just had to turn it on. Hello. I have everything else on. Okay. Let me just share as well what I did this morning since I did not sleep so well. I woke up um at I slept for 3 hours and I was up for 2.5 hours and I fell back asleep. And I really needed my rest because I worked out so hard yesterday. And so anyway, one other thing that I did earlier today was I went to make my coffee and I like to put a little bit of cinnamon, ground cinnamon in my coffee grounds and then pour it in the what's that thing called? Anyway, can't think. Coffee press. Girlfriend put pepper in there. A whole gang load of pepper. Just putting the pepper in there, the coffee grounds. And then I went to pour the water and I went, "What's that?" Pepper. Anyway, and I said in that moment, "So this is the kind of day we're going to have." Okay. All right. So back to the topic. Uh, this conversation is for the if you're listening and you're feeling like you're somebody that tends to say it's all on me to yourself or to others, like it's all on me. I got to handle all this. Um, because it's something that I come across quite often for a lot of the women that I have the honor and privilege of connecting with. And on today's conversation about giving money financially to loved ones, to people in your community, and at the same time it's something that is causing some pain because financially for yourself and you're wanting things to be a little bit different. So in that feeling of it's all on me can show up in different ways for all of us. I'll give an example of someone that I recently had the opportunity of speaking with and coaching, and she recently was unemployed, and she really had set herself up with a great amount of cash set aside. And yet she was saying to me in our conversation, she said, she feels like she's letting her parents down. She feels like it's all on me. And so I inquired about that with her. And she was kind of puzzled, like, I don't know why I feel that way. And she explained, her parents have always loved and supported her. They've always been there for her. They've always encouraged her. They've never put pressure on her. And something that she just really feels inside internally, she couldn't quite understand. So we got to talking about it and, just being a Black woman and trying to work our way up the corporate ladder and all the different experiences we have that, yeah, we can feel like it's all on us because oftentimes we're the only ones in the room or at the table, right? Even if it's not something that's happening within family dynamics. And so she also came from a family where her grandparents and her parents had done really well financially and bought homes and stuff, and she felt like she was behind, and yet at the same time she felt like it's all on her to continue that legacy. So it can show up differently. That's one example. So consider for yourself, if you feel like it's all on me, how is that showing up? In what way? Where does it come from? Some of my clients have expressed that it comes from being the first one in their family to go to college, the first one to be at the level of success that they have, the first one to be working a corporate job and to not be having a job where it's like manual labor. And so there is this, like, it's all on me. I have to do this. And what may come with that too is that oftentimes the women that I've spoke with who feel this way have a sense of providing financially for their loved ones, for their family, their siblings, for their friends, people in their community. It just comes in different ways. And that weight is this pressure, right? And when there's that pressure, there's also that pressure that they may be experiencing with creating their own financial success and yet being able to provide and help and protect their loved ones. Um, However, and I do want to say that this is beautiful. This is part of what it's like to be a woman and be a leader and to be the one to want to be able to end and start the trajectory of having that generational wealth within the family and community and participating in that. And at the same time, there's a way to be able to set these kind of financial boundaries in a way that are acts of love and of not rejecting individuals and being able to say no with grace so that you can sustain your own peace and your own purpose, because there's so much more going on when someone is overgiving and overextending themselves financially, and when that becomes a pattern, because at that point it's not really about money, especially if they're afterwards feeling a sense of regret or a sense of like, I shouldn't have done that, or if they're scrambling to try and make ends meet on their own. Because that that can start to that pattern, may be a way to someone may be believing that that's what they owe, or they owe someone, or it's their way of staying connected, respected, or loved. And when that becomes the giving becomes a way to manage any guilt or fear on top of that, right? It stops being generous and starts being a way that it's like self-sacrificing. And when we come from that place, that's where resentments can start to build, and the resentments towards those that we're wanting to love and support. And that can affect relationships in our life. And it's just this like spiral. And yet, if somebody still is wanting to fill that void within themselves, even when they have the resentment, when somebody comes to ask for financial support, they do it in order to try and fill that void. And it's just this loop, but also this pattern, maybe a little bit deeper, because it may be something that's very familiar. So if you're someone that has experienced financial instability or trauma, or just really difficult life, childhood, or relationships in adult life, if these things can become a pattern that's familiar, and we may subconsciously do them because that's what we know. So I want to explain this so that if you're feeling like, oh man, that is me, please, I really, really want to encourage you to do as best as you can to not look down on yourself, because there is no right or wrong here. It just is. And when we can come from a place of this awareness of understanding, it's like, oh, okay, right? Um, I've I've found myself in situations, throughout life, because it's a familiar pattern. It's not necessarily a healthy one for me, but it's because it's what I know. And it's until I learn a new way, then things begin to change. So if you are constantly rescuing others financially and putting yourself on the back burner, you may be trying to fill an emotional gap. And it's not just about helping them out financially. And then when we're in that soup, where did soup come from? Cycle, I tell you, then we can be in like that survival mode. Um, so there is a way though to be able to put yourself in a peaceful state of mind where you can provide financially, or maybe it's not financially. What if it's possible, right? Like, let's say you're not able to give financially at this moment in time. In what other ways can you show up to be a source of emotional, spiritual way of love for that person, or a practical way? And or even offering support and helping them find the resource or what is needed for them. And that's still an act of love, and that's still supporting somebody. Um, my mentor, I learned something from her a long time ago. She shared this with me, Sandra Davis or somebody. I don't remember who it was. Either way, they said that when they're maybe somebody's asked for money, they may not provide the whole amount. They may give a partial or half. And that way they still know that I'm still supporting this person in some way, but not giving them the whole amount because maybe they're not able to, or maybe that's just a way of practicing that boundary, you know? So there's different ways to approach this, and ways to redefine what support looks like. Because again, the care does not necessarily always have to be financial. That moment of freedom can begin when your giving and your spending and your saving comes from being aligned with your values. So what are your values, right? What are your values? That's something that applies and can knowing our values is so helpful in how it works in all different aspects of our life and in this one. So you got to consider that. And sometimes when I've asked clients that, like, what are your values? They're like, I don't know. Google. That's your best friend, or even Chat GPT or AI. Just Google, give me a list of values and then see what comes up. And then write down the ones that resonate with you, that speak to you, that yes, that is me, and then when you are clear on your values, you can then be able to base off how you'll structure, how you can respond in setting those financial boundaries with people you love. So those are just some few ways to consider approaching this and to think about um, what I'm bringing up here. And like I said, there's no right or wrong. It just is, and to have that awareness. And when we can have this awareness, well, then that's an opportunity for us to be able to have that choice and to create lasting change that we really want to be able to have an experience for ourselves and for the people that we care about. If you're enjoying this conversation, please do join me at Prosperity Exchange. It's a weekly group that I have with a lot of women that show up, different walks of life. All ethnicities are welcome. Anyone who identifies as female is welcome. And it's a time where I facilitate just a heartfelt conversation. Um, I may bring some financial education there. I may bring some more emotional awareness around finances there. And I always encourage those who attend, like if they have something they're kind of trying to decide or work out for themselves on a financial decision, bring it to the table. Happy to bring it to the group. It is a space where we honor and respect each other, and we maintain anonymity in the sense of like not going around talking about people's stuff. Okay, because it is definitely a place where I want to maintain creating this environment where we can show up and share in this sisterhood of being free from shame and judgment, and talking about what's going on in our financial lives and what we're experiencing and what we're working on. So I'm happy to have you there. Once again, it's every Friday. I post it here on LinkedIn. You can go to my profile page on LinkedIn if you don't see it under my events. Book your breakthrough. You'll be taken to a landing page and you can then register. Once you register, you won't have to again. You'll get notified of the upcoming events that I have. So looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Risha, again for letting me know that you couldn't hear me because I hadn't turned my mic on. Who sang that song? Just one of them days that a girl goes through? You know what I mean. That's what I'm feeling like right now, but it's all good. Happy to be here, and I look forward to seeing you the next time, and have a beautiful and blessed day.